Hi, everybody, and welcome to Screen Share. Adam's not ready yet. I guess I'll have to do it all alone. Oh, Close Encounters #1, easy clap?
That's a good bet.
Just kidding. Wait, we have to discuss it, though I dread his opinions and his livelihood.
Throw the slack, you fucking moron!
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Screen Share, a movie podcast about leaving your family behind. My name's Calder.
In the biggest way possible. Like the most you can leave them behind. Mm-hmm. I'm Adam Cook.
And we're talking about Close Encounters of a Third Kind today. Not a first kind.
When
not
I was
a second
searching
or not
for,
a third.
Because this wasn't on any streaming services when I watched it.
It was on CTV, ad supported.
Yeah, so I had to watch it free on CTV with ads.
And it was the director's cut.
Yeah.
We both watched the same one.
Okay. I'm not sure, because I looked it up and it's only 2 minutes extra.
Yeah.
Not sure what the scene is. But I figured it wouldn't really matter. But yeah, when I was searching for it on like streaming services at first, I searched for it on Crave, and one of the things that popped up was Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but another was Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind.
That's a UFO documentary.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not really.
Why is it called a Fifth Kind?
Because they were trying to probably market it with the namesake of this movie.
Because I'm assuming this one is a third kind, is like there's humans, there's animals, there's aliens.
It's citing physical evidence and then physical contact. Those are the three kinds.
So like the actual contact is the third kind of close encounter.
Yes.
I thought it was close encounters of a third kind of being.
No.
Okay. Then I completely misinterpreted the title. Doesn't really make the movie worse though.
So I think like a fifth kind, it might be like technology or some shit like that, like technological like whatever bullshit, but like they're probably just using it for marketing.
Okay. Well, then I good to know.
So
I
knew that. So when people look up this movie, they do what you did.
Yeah.
Close Encounters of a Third Kind.
So you chose this to be the new #1.
Yes.
Not what I was expecting you to pick. Can I tell you which ones I thought you were going to pick? Mm-hmm. Well, actually, we didn't even do this. Did you have any guesses on what I would pick for best and worst? We haven't really talked
I thought you might pick Star Wars. I don't know. I think that was the only one where I was like, he might try to like sneak Empire.
I was very briefly thinking of doing Empire, but then I was like, it would be a little weird to do Empire by itself in a month. I guess it wouldn't be that bad, but also like I was pretty confident you wouldn't make that #1. Maybe, but
yeah.
But I thought you were gonna do Back to the Future.
I thought about it.
Hey.
I don't know. I think this movie's just a little more interesting. I don't know if it will end up being #1.
Sure, we'll get there.
But I just didn't really see this fitting into anything else. And I like this movie, and I think it's underrated and kind of lost. Even though it's kind of one of the biggest movies that came out at the time.
Yeah. Well, like you've mentioned, it came out the same year as Star Wars.
Yes.
The first one.
And it was Spielberg's 4th feature film.
Mm-hmm.
His first was Duel, TV movie about a transport chasing a guy in a car. Mm-hmm. Then Sugarland Express, which I'm not really sure what that's about. I haven't seen that. Then Jaws, which he gets a lot of acclaim for. Mm-hmm. And then this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And it comes out the same year as A New Hope, or I guess at that time it was just called Star Wars.
Star Wars.
But in November instead of May, like Star Wars did.
Yeah.
And I think it may have... I don't know if it broke a record, but it was very maybe you can like look it up for me. But like, do you know how much Star Wars the original made when it was released? Mm-mm. Okay, let me look it up.
I don't know.
But this movie is just like an incredible sci-fi movie that they don't really make a lot of, this type, where it's not the end is violence, the end is like spectacle, it's wonder. It's a movie about wonder. And like,
well, because that was my whole thing watching this. I instinctively saw like the U.S. government and the U.S. military as the enemy, and I guess in a way they work as like like, not the enemy.
They're opposition to regular people finding out, but not to the aliens.
Exactly. So, like, my gut instinct was like, oh, these guys aren't to be trusted. They're bad. I was mostly basing that off of every other Alien movie I've watched.
Yeah, like, you'd think it sort of, like, gives you a similar premise to Independence Day.
Yeah.
But in Independence Day, they're trying to kill the aliens, and the aliens are trying to kill them.
Yeah.
Instead of them just trying to communicate, more like Arrival, which is a more recent movie. But this came out in 1977.
Yeah. Because, like, I feel like whenever I think about the possibility of aliens coming, I'm always like, I mean, the obvious thing to do is to try and communicate with them peacefully.
Yeah.
But I just have a feeling that that's not how it would go. So, like, actually seeing it happen in a movie is, like, really nice to see, because I was like, oh no, are they gonna, like, show... Like, the whole time I was, like, worried that the military was gonna, like...
bomb them or something?
Or just, like, be, like... offensive to like towards the aliens, but then, like, in the final scene, I started to be like, are the aliens gonna, like, fucking blast these people to get into Kingdom Come? Like, then I started to become more wary of the aliens, because I realized that all of the people at, like, the end base area had good intentions and were just, like, trying to do.
And, like, maybe the aliens didn't.
Yeah, so then I was like, okay, they're fine. Now I want to know about the aliens. And then they were these nice little gray kids.
Yeah, little kids dressed in gray costumes.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons why I like this movie so much, and then also because of the plot, the Richard Dreyfuss plot, where it's like, he's a bad guy, but I personally, like, connected with it because of his, like, obsession that, like, he feeds into, and he lets it go a little too far, and then it kind of destroys his life. Like, he fucking just leaves his wife and kids at the end of the movie.
Which, like, I asked Olivia, because she watched the end of the movie with me, and I was like, this happens, you getting on the ship? She was like, not a chance. And then I was like, okay. And it was just kind of, like, quiet. And then she's like, you would? And I was like, absolutely. It's an alien ship.
Yeah.
Like, obvious. Like, I could have the greatest life anyone has ever lived on the planet Earth.
You
if
don't
aliens
right now?
Come, what?
You not right now?
I'm getting there. But, like, if aliens come and they're like, obviously they didn't say this explicitly, but if they're like, we want to bring you onto our ship to learn more about us, and, like, so we can also learn more about you, I'd probably check to make sure they're not going to, like, anal probe me or something. But, like, once that's checked off, I'm getting on the ship. It's aliens. I get to go to space.
Yeah.
Like, I said that to Olivia. I was like, watching Star Trek The Next Generation, it just makes me go, like they talk on that show all the time about, like, oh, you know, the decision to serve on a Starfleet, like, starship is, like, a big commitment, because like, there's a lot of danger out there, there's a lot of unknown out there, you're not, like, able to settle down because you're on a spaceship. But I'm like, live on a spaceship? Yeah. Yeah.
I agree to an extent, but I think the way that it plays with his, like, obsession, which is really more of, like, Spielberg talking about making art, how like artists can be obsessed to the detriment of themselves, and I think this pairs really well with The Fabelmans.
Okay.
Because it's sort of like is in a way about his family.
Okay.
I also watched a documentary on him one time, and, like, there's some stuff that he pulled, like, directly from his life.
Yeah.
But when he was younger, his dad and mom got divorced. His mom, I think, took, like, his sisters to go live back in Arizona, where she married a family friend. And then Spielberg went off to, like, college or whatever. He was, like, doing his thing.
Yeah.
And then he just didn't talk to his dad for a long time. Like, his dad disappeared.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it was in the documentary they put it as like that was Spielberg's sort of childlike imagining of what happened to his dad. His dad
just fucked off to space for a little bit.
Yeah. And then just like how kind of well Richard Dreyfuss plays the role of like this guy that's becoming obsessed and he doesn't know why, and then he's like kind of mumbling around like thinking about his things, and like everyone around him's like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And he's like carving mashed potatoes and he's doing all this shit with clay.
Dude,
and
one
like,
of my favorite lines in the movie is when like it's Ray and not Ronnie. Ronnie's his wife. What's the other woman's name?
I'd have to look it up for you.
I wrote it down somewhere. The other guy's name is Larry. But it's Roy, Larry, and then the other woman.
I think it might be Terry, or maybe that's the actress's name.
Oh, maybe Terry. Janine.
Okay.
Roy, Janine, and Larry are climbing the mountain, and Larry and Janine are like, I don't know where to go. I only like.
I've only seen the front
other side. Yeah, and he's like, should I? Because they're like, I only drew the one side in my drawings, and he's like, should have worked with clay. And like, it's just
like
this
such
weird
a dick.
throwaway line. I'm like, it was just this weird thing of like, okay, like. You know that like all three of you are kind of like losing your minds because you had an interaction with aliens. Like, why are you being so weird? I don't know. It's not even like he was being weird. It's just a weird line. Should have worked with clay. It's just like weird. Anyway.
Or should have tried sculpting or something.
But I will say on like the clay front, like for the first third of the movie, I was just like, all right, I'm in the data collection stage. I'm kind of just like seeing what's happening.
Because there's a lot going on in the movie.
Yeah. And it kind of just jumps right into it. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to be collecting data. The second third of the movie, I'm just kind of like, nothing is piecing together. Mm-hmm. I'm like, nothing, like, I haven't gained any new information at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the final third of the movie is like, oh.
Okay.
But I do still think there's a couple things that I don't fully get.
Mm-hmm. What are they?
I just feel like there's some like things along the way that I was like, that'll be explained later, and I'm not sure it was. Maybe it was. It just wasn't as like explicit. But like the aliens like make things lose power, and also give sunburns, and also like make things move around. Like there's a point where mailboxes are moving around and flying open, and there's a railroad crossing that's moving.
I think the implication is that they're like some sort of magnetic propulsion.
But I assumed that, but like it's not always only moving like metal things. It just kind of like affects everything.
Yeah.
So then I was like, maybe it's just like a low gravity thing, because they did mention that like gravity might be affected. Because when he is in his truck at the railroad crossing, things start to float for a little bit. But like, It just felt like I wasn't sure why everything that happened at the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. I knew why most things happened. And I was kind of just able to be like, well, it doesn't really matter why everything happened. I know it was aliens now.
I think the thing is that, like, why would the audience know what's happening or why things are happening if the characters don't?
Yeah, I do think it was good how little I knew for, like, most of the movie.
Yeah.
I just didn't feel like all of it was explained later, and it doesn't all need to be explained.
The only thing we really learn about the aliens is that they can communicate in tones.
Yeah, basically through music, which makes sense.
But that's about it. We don't know where they're from. We don't know what the ship does. We don't know what they're doing with people on the ship.
I did get a little scared when they were trying to communicate with the ship through tones, and their little tone things just like me moo me moo or whatever, and then the ship's like wah, 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 wah. And it's like not making this. That was way too loud. It's like not making the same tones at all. And I was like, is it angry?
And then they lined up.
And then
John Williams put his whole back into it.
John Williams literally makes any movie go up at least 2.
Got nominated for 2 Oscars in 1978. for Star Wars in this.
Really?
Yeah.
In the same category?
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't even know that.
So I'll give you a little background on the movie, a little history.
Okie dokie.
Spielberg has 3 credits as a writer and director in his career. This is the first. The second was AI in like 2004, which he was a Kubrick movie that Kubrick was going to do, and then he died. That Spielberg kind of like took over.
Okay.
And then his third was Fabelmans from this last year. So he doesn't write a lot. And this is one of his more personal early movies. Because then he gets into like, he does like this weird comedy, 1943 or something. Jaws isn't really that personal, like,
or that good, really.
Well, you're just kind of a liar and you're a skunk.
That was a joke.
So he doesn't really write a lot, and you can kind of feel his personal life in this one if you kind of know about it.
Sure.
This movie won Best Cinematography at the Oscars. There were also a couple other nominations for Melinda Dillon, the Jillian character.
Jillian?
Yeah, that's the lady.
Oh, I wrote Janine. I think you're right that it was Jillian, yeah.
Yeah, it's Jillian.
I'm going to
Sorry.
change that in my notes so I don't get confused.
And Spielberg was nominated for Best Director, but he lost. And he doesn't win Best Director until 1994 for Schindler's List, which is kind of a long time. But Melinda Dillon, was nominated for Supporting Actress. She lost.
Okay.
But Richard Dreyfuss was nominated for Best Actor for a different movie.
Interesting.
The Goodbye Girl, which was also nominated for Best Picture. It was a bit of a strange year because like Star Wars also comes onto the scene and then like kind of takes over.
Yeah.
In the Oscars, like winning
Did Star Wars win Best Picture that
I don't think it did.
I don't think so.
I think The Goodbye Girl might have actually, but let me look it up. In terms of box office, back then, on a budget of $19.4 million, it made 306. Star Wars, just to like kind of directly compare the two, that had a budget of $11 million, made 775.
Ridiculous.
But this movie making $306 million back then
is still insane.
It puts it at, currently adjusted, 19th highest grossing domestic movie of all time, between Black Panther above and Infinity War below it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's one of the 20 highest grossing movies of all time.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, no one really talks about this movie.
Yeah, I feel like, honestly, like I've heard Close Encounters of the Third Time a million times, but like I didn't really know anything about this movie other than like there's aliens. So this, sorry to just interrupt, but to finish off the thing that we were, Star Wars it was nominated for Best Picture, but didn't win. It won for Best Art Direction, Best Costume Design, Best Film Editing, Best Original Score, Best Sound, Best Visual Effects. So they were like, this movie has all of the best things, but it's not the best movie. And this was the 50th Academy Awards. Damn.
But Best Picture was Annie Hall, the Woody Allen movie.
Interesting.
And Woody Allen also won Best Director. I'd probably take that back now if we could.
Yeah.
But Richard Dreyfuss did end up winning that Oscar.
The acting Oscar for the other movie? Nice.
So, what else we got here?
Well, can we just like talk about like the beginning of the movie?
It opens in the desert.
Yeah, with like some like planes from...
They're in like Mongolia or something.
Yeah, and some war planes just popped up somewhere.
And Francois Truffaut, famous French New Wave director, is playing Dr. Lacombe, who is a ufologist.
Yeah. Based
on an actual UFO expert, Jacques Vallée, who, I've found this on Wikipedia, so I'm going to say it.
Sure.
He used to promote the theory of extraterrestrial aliens, where they're coming from another planet. But now he's more interested in the theory of interdimensional aliens, meaning that humans have figured out a way to travel in time, and we don't recognize the technology because it hasn't happened yet.
Interesting.
Or like between dimensions by shifting gravity.
Interesting.
Pretty interesting.
Like, is he saying that like humans live among us.
He's saying that aliens are interdimensional humans.
Okay. Interesting.
There you go.
But yeah, that opening scene, it like kind of like sets the tone for the whole movie, where it's like, it's not something that's like absurd out of place.
But you're
It's
just
just
kinda
something that's like slightly out of place, where you're like, why are there planes here?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, whoa, there's like a bunch of fucking alien goop everywhere, or some stupid thing like that. It's like, no, there's just like planes here, and we don't know why.
Yeah, and these are not planes of this country either. So why are they here?
And they're from like decades ago.
Yeah, they're from like World War II.
And then there's like the air traffic control scene where there's these two different pilots being like, I think I see some like weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like it gets close to them and like flies towards them, then it kind of like
but
disappears.
you never see it.
We never see, well, that's the thing. A lot of this movie is showing people reacting to things but not actually showing the things, which I think is a big part, especially at the end. It's a lot of like shots of, even when they just go to the mountain that like the final scene like kind of takes place at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the mountain that like all the people who have interacted with
Devil's
these aliens,
Tower.
they see it and they're like drawing it and sculpting it. Even when they finally reveal that mountain, the way they do it is by holding a long shot on Roy and Jillian for like a full 15-20 seconds as they're reacting to seeing it, and then the camera pans as they walk to show it. And it's like something about showing them seeing it before we see it makes me go like, what is it? What are we?
Yeah, it like builds intrigue.
Yeah,
like,
and they do the same at the end with the aliens. We see people reacting to them before we actually see them.
yeah. And I think it's because it kind of follows the three kinds of close encounters, where it's like you've got the sighting, so you're like kind of seeing weird stuff, you're not doing anything, and then the pilots see it. There's no physical evidence though, like for the viewer there's no physical evidence of what we're trying to figure out. And then it gets into like, okay, he has a physical experience with the UFO, and then there's actual contact at the end. So it like moves through the three acts in that way, where like the second act is him coming to terms with his physical contact with the UFO. What that means for his family, what that means for his mind. His mind is just gonna break down from now on because he doesn't know what's going on. And he's got this image imprinted in his head that he needs to get out.
Or at least just because like there's a point right before they eventually kind of just like I guess decide we've got this highly trained team of like army people we're sending with these aliens, let's also just send this guy. Like right before they kind of have that conversation, it's just Roy and Dr. Lacombe looking at the aliens and looking at the spaceship, and Lacombe's like, what's his last name, Leary? It's like, Mr. Leary. I'm not going to do a French accent. What? Neary. Yeah. I'm not going to do a French accent for Lacombe, though. Okay. But he's basically like, Mr. Neary, like, what are you hoping for, basically? Like, why are you here? What are you hoping?
Like, why'd you come here?
And he's basically like, I guess I just want to know. And he doesn't even say what he wants to know. It's just like, these aliens have kind of like taken up so much of his mind, and like he spent so long exclusively thinking about these aliens, what they mean, this mountain that they're at, these tones that they're making, and like what it all means. He just wants to know more, I guess, is what he wants to know. And I think that's the point where Lacombe and like the other army guys are like, I mean, they said it earlier before they even climbed the mountain, where they're like, honestly, he deserves to be here more than we do.
Yeah, it's
he
calling
was actually
him
contacted.
Here.
And like interacted with and communicated with. So like, if he wants to go with them, I think we should, because they chose him in a way. And obviously Jillian doesn't go with because she kind of just wanted her son back.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like the son a lot as well.
He's really good in this movie as like a 3-year-old.
Yeah. He's like really believable as a 3-year-old who just kind of like doesn't know what's going on.
But
and it's
really
just, like,
thinks they're cool.
Yeah. Like there's a point where when they finally like meet up again, Jillian's like, "Oh, what's the kid's name?"
Barry.
Where he's like, "Barry, are you okay?" And then he's literally just like, "Yeah, we like went up and I saw our house. Like I saw our house from like up high." And he just like
He's just like, it was a fun thing. Yeah.
He's a kid, so he's like, yeah, and they just went with these
He's just
aliens.
obsessed with toys.
Yeah.
They got him to look like off camera at things by just popping a toy up and holding a toy up. That actor, Cary Guffey, was Kubrick wanted him to play Danny Torrance, the son of Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
In The Shining. He didn't end up doing that. He's now a financial planner.
Nice.
In some I think in the Midwest.
Yeah, well, good for him.
But like, I don't know. I think that's probably the best thing a child star or like child actor can do. Not just keep being a child actor.
Be a financial planner?
Just like not keep doing it.
Yeah.
Just like have it be something they've done.
And if he wants to be an actor when he gets like, I know Ki-hee Kwan wanted to be an actor like more consistently, but I do feel like the way to go, at least mental health wise, for child actors is like do a thing or two when you're a kid. It's fun, and then like stop.
Yeah.
If you want to go back, you can, but like I think that there needs to be some time when you're a child/teen that you're not always in the spotlight.
Yeah.
But that's I also think it's cool for just like some random financial advisor to be like,
I was in that Spielberg movie.
I was in this really good movie.
Yeah. So that kid was really good.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Some potential alternate castings for some characters.
Sure. Always love
for
these.
The other castings for Roy. The first choice Spielberg had was Steve McQueen, who's 17 years older than Richard Dreyfuss, and a much like cooler, less neurotic person, like a much more calm guy.
I feel like you can't really have like a cool action star kind of guy in this role.
Well,
I feel like you kind of need a bit of a loser.
He declined because he can't cry on command.
Interesting.
So,
wait, when did he cry on command in this movie?
I think there's like, well, like in the bathtub, he's like
true,
crying and shit, but like that was like never really Steve McQueen's thing.
Sure.
Another one was James Caan. Do you know who that is? Yep. Okay. Dustin Hoffman, Al Pacino.
Not a chance.
'Cause that alien's got a great ass. And my head's all the way up it.
'Cause I've got a great ass. And their probe is all the way up
That's good.
Thanks,
That's
man.
better. And Gene Hackman. And then he kind of went through a bunch of French actors. But then landed on Truffaut. I'm not really sure why. Because Truffaut was even like, I don't know how to speak English. But then Spielberg was like, I want you in the movie. So he was like, okay. Weird.
I guess he only has to say like a couple lines in English so he can just memorize them phonetically.
Yeah, I guess.
Because he has a translator.
It's just weird because he doesn't like act. Yeah. Really. Meryl Streep was up for The Wife, Ronnie.
Okay.
But I guess she didn't get it, and then like a couple years later, she is nominated for Oscars and shit.
Yeah.
So that's just a couple alternate castings. Just a couple alternate castings.
Well, can I just ask you your opinion on a couple characters?
Sure.
The map guy / translator for Lacombe.
Yeah.
The guy with the beard and glasses. Thoughts on him?
I think he's good. I think he does what he needs to do.
Yeah.
Like, he has nothing important that he really does, aside from point out that numbers that are obviously longitude and latitude or longitude and latitude.
What did you think of them rolling out that big globe? The one guy being like, "That's an expensive globe," and it's like, "Yeah, we're about to contact aliens.
Yeah,
who cares?"
Yeah, I think it'll be okay, boys.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like, I forget the character's name, but I really like the bearded map guy.
The cartographer.
Yeah. Him and Lacombe kind of work at, like, the whole time, even when I was, like, not trusting of the U.S. military guys in the movie, I was at least like, I can tell these guys have the best intentions, I think.
Because they're just doing it to find out about UFOs.
Yeah.
There's no, like, ulterior motives.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. not even just like violence. I feel like a lot of the time in these alien movies, it's like, we got to get their technology. It's like, no, just leave them alone. Say hi. Mm-hmm. Establish contact. Leave them be. Now, here's a question. Sorry, I'm jumping around.
Yeah, sure.
But like at the end, when they send a team, when they like get all of the like old army guys who haven't aged a day.
Yeah.
Who like were on the spaceship, and then they send new guys on. Was that them being like, oh, wow, these guys who went missing and were abducted, like, were on this spaceship the whole time? Also, we have this crew that we've trained to, like, go on this mission to learn more about these aliens. Or was it like, they've contacted these aliens before, these guys who are coming off of it now were the previous team they sent to learn, and now we're sending these new guys?
I think that's an interesting theory.
I think it's the first one.
That
they were just abducted and then they also had a team. But I was briefly like...
It's an interesting theory, but I think like they play it so like we don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
So
especially when they're playing the tones and it's like, I don't know.
Up a fifth.
What are we saying?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the guy like playing the tones is like, what are we even saying to each other? Yeah. Yeah, I like the little hand motions.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Although it's a little, that's another thing that supported that theory though, was that like Lacombe like made that hand gesture thing to correlate with the tones, but then when they meet the aliens, he does the hand gestures at the alien and it does it back. So that made me think that they'd like established that before.
Maybe. I think he does it with the noise though. Like as the noise is happening. True. Doesn't he?
Yeah. Anyway, that's just like a little theory. It's not necessarily what I believe.
Just a game theory.
But that's just a theory.
A game theory. Oh, sorry. I thought you
okay.
Forgot about it.
A game theory.
So, we're 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
Best thing to do on a podcast is point out how long it is.
I agree. Disagree.
What's the temperature on this movie? Because you haven't given many opinions. You've talked about things that you like a lot.
Well, let me just mention one negative thing that's not a negative thing. Ronnie, Roy's wife.
Yeah.
I'm just going to come out and say it.
You think she's bad?
She just like... I think... I get that he's kind of losing it. Especially at the end when he's like tossing shit in the house. And like not really explaining why. But like leading up to that point, I feel like she's like a little bit unreasonable. Like the night before when he's like... It just feels like he keeps telling her that he like needs emotional support. Because he's like doesn't know what's happening. Like he's building the mashed potatoes on his plate and he's like, I don't really know what's happening. I just kind of like need some help. And then like he's in the bathtub crying and she's like screaming at him and like yelling. At first she says they need to go to family counseling because it's not his fault. And then when he's like, no, she like immediately jumps into, you're ruining this family and wrecking everything. And then like she starts like yelling at the kids as well. And then the kids hear everything and start yelling at the dad also.
Call him a crybaby.
Yeah. And it just feels like, not that none of these emotions are valid, but it just feels like she deals with them so horribly that it just makes the situation worse. Like, the way she reacts makes herself more angry and unstable. It makes Roy feel worse and just spiral and be more unstable. It makes their son angry and blame his dad and yell at his dad. It makes their daughter scared. Like... It just like blows everything up, all because he was taking a shower because he feels like he's losing his mind. It just felt like she reacted very poorly to a lot of these situations and wasn't very like... But also at the same time, like obviously he's being like kind of a whack job.
So like, I guess we should track what happens to him from when he has contact with the aliens, because he's out on the job. His car gets picked up by the aliens. He looks out, gets sunburnt. Then he comes back and he's obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Which means he loses his job.
Yeah.
Which means he sort of becomes an absentee father who's only focused on like one thing and can only think about one thing. So he's not helping them. And even before he gets in contact with the aliens, he's already kind of a bad dad.
Yeah.
So like
when his kids are like, I don't want to see Pinocchio, I want to go golfing.
Yeah.
Or something.
Like Goofy Golf or whatever.
Yeah. And he's like, no, we're seeing Pinocchio.
Yeah. So he's like already kind of a bad dad and not really there to help at the beginning.
And he's like obsessed with his train set.
Yeah.
And Ronnie's like, I told you could have that entire table for your train set.
Keep your stuff off my table.
Yeah. Which like, I guess actually, I don't want to shit on anyone with a train set. I was a big Thomas the Tank Engine kid. But like, there's something about like an adult dad with a big model train set that just like screams that he's like obsessive, which kind of makes sense, I guess, why she would think this is just him being obsessive over something.
Yeah.
Rather than he actually had contact with aliens and lost his mind. But the reason I think why I'm like, she reacted so poorly is everything that I mentioned happened after he told her, not like the kids and everything, but like her specifically, that like he saw aliens and he's very confident about it. And then she sees in the newspaper and on TV, or not on TV yet, but like sees in the newspaper that there were like UFO sightings and like that the military is like doing something in relation with aliens, and she cuts it out so he can't see it.
Yeah, but what she wants to do is try and keep a sort of steady normalcy, I think.
Which is understandable.
Whereas, like, he's kind of already not helping with the kids, and then when he becomes obsessive, he becomes, like, a fourth kid that she's got to deal with.
Yeah.
And, like, what she wants is not aliens, and, like, she doesn't care about figuring out aliens. She cares about the family running.
Yeah.
And if the family running means, like, okay, we don't talk about the alien shit because you're just going to get distracted. That's all you're going to care about. Or like,
it's more that like she hears her husband say something and then she sees evidence to support what he's saying. And then when he reacts in like a way regarding this where he's like, I don't know why I'm thinking about this so much. I need your help. Her reaction is to like freak out on him, to like make him kind of lose it more. That's the negative feeling I have towards like Ronnie. It's just that like, it's not that I don't think her feelings are valid regarding like him kind of tearing the family apart by kind of going nuts. It's more like how she kind of completely disregards him as a whole, and then also, at least in the one fight, completely disregards like her kids like mental stability as well, because like they're causing such a huge scene. But I just think she dealt with it poorly. I don't think that like the reasons she was doing that were wrong. I just think she could have gone about it a different way. I do agree though that when he's tossing a bunch of dirt and
then
chicken wire, then you just leave.
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
I mean, she doesn't react the best.
Yeah.
But I don't know, he's acting like a fucking freak.
Now, since I'm on the topic of shaming people, I also think that Jillian, the woman that Roy works with for most of the movie, is a bad mom.
Why?
The amount of times that
Barry
just like runs off when she's like, she could so easily stop him. It's just like there's so many moments in the movie where like it's no reason other than her just not paying attention that Barry gets into some sort of danger or something. Anyway, she eventually gets him back. I'm sure that she'll learn and improve, but
and we'll see.
But also on the topic of Ronnie, What do you think of Roy and Ronnie kind of forming some sort of like romantic bond?
Oh, Jillian?
Sorry,
Roy and
Jillian, not Ronnie, yeah.
I don't love the kiss.
Me neither.
I think it's like a thing you have at the end because of the time it was released, and like
Maybe.
it's more of a tension release in terms of the emotions rather than like a romantic thing to me.
Maybe. I guess
Which
I
is
could
like,
look at it that way.
Because I don't ever think like, oh, these two people are going to be together now, right? There's no part of me.
Especially since he gets on a spaceship.
Yeah, but like even leading up to that, I'm like, I was never like, oh, these two could or should be together.
Same, I never believed.
Like there was no romantic tension between them.
Like when Jillian is like being dragged away to like go on this evacuation train, and then Roy comes and they like share a really long hug and like check in with each other. We don't even hear the dialogue.
Yeah,
we just see
I like that shot a lot.
I like it too. But like that was nice because it was like, okay, these two people know each other, they've established a bond, and they have something in common that they have in common with no one else.
Yeah.
So like obviously they're gonna have a strong bond and care about each other. I believe that. When they kissed, I was kind of just like, don't know if that was needed. It was just kind of like, it was kind of like in Rise of Skywalker when Rey and Kylo kiss, where I'm just like I guess, but that's not really what their relationship was.
Yeah, I think
it's not
it's
as bad as in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, that one's just stupid. I think it's just like an aversion to older movies having men and women be friends at the end of a movie.
Yeah.
Where it's like they're both like ecstatic. They're like not crazy. There's like stuff going on there. Like, we'll kiss, I guess. That's like the capper to this, right? But even after it, you're not like, I don't even think they're like, oh, okay, we're like, are we lovers?
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing like that. So I just think it's kind of like a product of it being a 50-year-old movie.
Yeah. You know what also? They might have put that in there to kind of make Roy leaving on the spaceship a little bit less weird, because that you could see him kissing kissing Jillian
as him being like
him kind of accepting that his life with Ronnie and his kids is kind of over.
Yeah.
And then that kind of gives him more freedom to then get on the ship, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll look at
maybe.
it that way.
I think it's just like
Probably
it's
just a
weird
product of the
thing.
time.
Yeah. What does that mean? So many intelligent subtleties. I thought it said subtitles and I was like, that's fucking weird. I think the thing I like about this movie the most is that it like doesn't really assume that you're like stupid.
Yeah.
Which I feel like a lot of sci-fi movies do now. And then I think like my case for it being like potentially a number one, but just like a great movie overall is like the fact that it's about wonder. It's about like communication. It's not about like violence and like anger and aggression. It's about like obsession.
It's about mystery, but it's not really like a mystery. It's just about like learning, really. Honestly, it's just about learning.
And I think it portrays the sort of like artist's obsessed. You've got this image in your head. You're trying to like craft it in whatever way you do, or whether it's like painting or sculpting. Like you just like, you got to get this thing out. I think it portrays that really well. I think the family dynamic thing is a little weak. Like, I think it's just like,
I feel like they just had to give him something to lose, I think.
And there's a part of me that's like, well, it's the 70s. They probably got pregnant when like they were both really young. And it's just like, they're married now.
Yeah.
Like, because they have kids. And he sort of goes off the deep end and she's like, why the fuck am I with this guy? Like, why is this my life? Like, we have the idyllic, like, suburban house. We have, like, a bunch of kids. There's, like, some fun stuff, you know, whatever. But, like, and he has a good job, too, or did. And then throughout the movie, she's like, I like this. This is fucked up. Like, what's happening to me? Why is this my life?
Yeah.
I think it portrays that well at points. And I just think it's just like, it's like fun counter programming to most sci-fi.
Yeah. Well, like a big thing about, because you mentioned a lot of sci-fi movies, or like even if this exact movie was made today, it would probably kind of like spoon feed you a little more, assume that you're dumber than you probably are. But like,
you'd know a lot more about the aliens and where they came from
Yeah.
and what their motivations are, and like,
yeah. And like, I think if this movie was made today, you'd probably see the spaceships later than we see them, but you'd probably see the aliens sooner.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I don't know what that really means, but like that's just how it would happen.
yeah.
But
Like someone would catch an alien in their barn.
yeah, or something like
Like when they're rummaging through her house, which is like literally like a horror movie scene when
Yeah.
they take Barry, you'd see an alien there
Yeah.
or something.
even if it was just a shot, yeah. Like she'd see them. But I love how they did that. How like he's like Barry's talking to the fireplace chimney thing and is just like, use the front door. And meanwhile she's like, ah, freaking out, closing everything. But you
Yeah.
like see shots implying that like something is coming down the chimney, something is trying to get through the vents, something is pulling Barry through the dog door, like, but you don't see anything, you just see lights and shaking.
Yeah.
And I really like that. Even when Roy first interacts with like the aliens in any capacity, when he's at the rail crossing
Yeah.
and he's in the truck, you don't actually see anything.
You see the lights.
Yeah, you see the lights and then you see it fly off. But like you don't actually see any aliens. You don't see the ship above him. Like you just see things happening. And I really like that. Because like I mentioned earlier that this movie doesn't answer everything that I wanted it to answer. Or at least not as like clearly as maybe I need. But I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't kind of like Roy probably doesn't feel like he has all the answers going on the spaceship.
Yeah.
Otherwise he wouldn't be going on the spaceship.
Yeah, you like don't need the lore of the
No.
movie, which I think is nice.
All I need to know is that there's aliens and they're leaving.
Which is like, I think it's similar in a way to the first Star Wars. When you watch that and you're like, there's a bigger world here I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with not understanding it because I feel like I'm being taken on a journey or like taken through something that's like cool and interesting, and there's like something at the end of this that's going to pay off.
Yeah. Well,
And
yeah,
then
like,
as you get into like later Star Wars, which this movie didn't have because there was obviously no sequel.
sure.
As you get into later Star Wars and like Star Wars content, they make a point of answering those questions,
Yeah.
which are so much more fun to think about than to actually see. Like
In most instances.
with an Obi-Wan show, with a fucking Boba Fett show, with like all this shit. Like, I don't know if you even really need the prequels, because I feel like it's, if you're just like,
Yeah.
hey, there was a war, there's a war, the war's happening, we don't really need to know like what's,
Yeah.
we don't need to know all this.
At this point, Star Wars is kind of like turned into such a thing that it's like, well, like they're gonna tell these stories anyway. Oh well. Like Clone
Yeah.
Wars, the Clone Wars TV show is my favorite Star Wars thing. That wouldn't happen without the prequels, and it kind of happened. Like
in spite of the prequels.
yeah, like
Yeah.
like people say Clone Wars made the prequels better,
Yeah.
which I agree with. But it's like that doesn't mean they were needed.
No.
Like you could argue that like having the prequel, I mean, here's a better example, the Star Wars sequels, because like the prequels, yeah, objectively they're bad films for the most part, but like I like them.
Sure.
The sequels, I like certain aspects, but for the most part I have a negative view on them, so I'm going to talk about them as an example instead. Like the sequels actively make the originals worse by adding more. So like something like Clone Wars adds more and makes it better. Something like the sequel movies adds more, makes it worse. But like this movie, I think like there's a part of me that's like, oh, I kind of want to follow their adventures on this spaceship. But then it's like that kind of takes away from what this movie is.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm working on a video right now, which by the release of this episode, ideally is out on youtube.com/@I'mADumb. It's a little, I was going to say it's a little vid, but it's probably long, actually. Definitely long, actually. But I review all the Star Wars and Harry Potter movies, but in my review of the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope, I talk about how, like, one of the best things about it is that it just is. It's not like, and this is the cantina full of a bunch of different aliens.
Yeah,
let's
you
meet
just
them
go
all
in
and see where they come from. It's literally just Obi-Wan goes like, this spaceport's full of a lot of
bad guys.
Yeah. And then you go in and just see a bunch of random dudes, and then you leave, and like everything is like, it's not like everything is established in the film. Everything is established before the film. So like, and this movie kind of does that as well, where it's like, you don't need to know anything about these aliens.
No.
Because that's not what's important. Similar to like the species of the alien sitting in the back of the fucking
Glorbofucko.
Glupshido.
Sure.
But like, you don't, that doesn't matter. Similar to how in this movie, like, learning about the aliens is the most important thing of the movie, but like knowing everything about the aliens would be a detriment to the movie.
Yeah. Like seeing the aliens at the end is the payoff.
Yeah.
Like that's what you've been working
I
towards.
thought they might not even show the aliens.
I kind of sometimes forget how much of them they show.
Yeah.
There was also a scene that they cut out where it's Roy on the ship. It's okay.
You've seen it?
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Okay. Maybe I'll watch that. I do like how they worked with light to kind of make it like I'm seeing the aliens, but like I can't get a good view of
like
them.
they're backlit.
Yeah.
There's a one alien that's really tall. I don't know what the fuck that is.
Yeah, there's one shot of like a tall, skinny alien before the little guys come out, and then it's just not there anymore.
Yeah, I think that was a weird director's cut thing.
Maybe.
Like I don't know what that was.
Because, like, I was like, oh, that's a really interesting alien design.
Yeah.
And then it disappears, and then it's, like, the classic alien design.
Yeah, and then it's, like, a gaggle of little kids.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay.
And then I was like,
Yeah. But then, like, after they show, there's an alien that's, like, a little skinnier and taller.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that was supposed to be the same alien.
I have no clue.
Anyway.
But I kind of like that they're just, like, there's, like, three different things on this ship, and they're all just like kind of there, and we don't know anything about them. So I have some questions for you.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on aliens? Real world
Aliens? There's, and like, I feel like people who are like kind of like, oh, I don't know, or like, oh, like there's probably nothing out there, like we would have found it by now. No, we fucking wouldn't. You know how big the universe is? Like, we haven't been to Mars yet, except for a tiny little robot. Like,
and Elon's rocket just blew up, so we won't go anytime soon.
Yeah. But, like, it's just this thing of, like, obviously, I feel like obviously there's something out there. Like,
obviously?
The odds of there being no other life anywhere, to me, is low.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it doesn't even have to be, oh, there's a planet like Earth that could sustain life. There's probably aliens that breathe dark matter for all we fucking know. I don't know. It's like, I think there's definitely something out there.
Yeah.
I don't think that I would like there to be alien contact in my lifetime. That would be one of the coolest things.
But you don't think there will?
I don't think there will ever be alien contact while humans are, like, alive on this planet.
Interesting.
Like, I think that we will cause irreversible damage to our planet before any aliens come here.
What's your prediction?
What do you mean?
How long we got?
How long we got on the planet? I don't know, like, max 500 years.
Oh, whoa, you're going long tail. I thought you were going to say like 50.
Well, that's max. I say min, like, I could see it, like, ending in 15.
Let's go. At your hand, most likely.
This is a downer movie.
You already answered this.
Well, just to quickly say, like, like I said, I don't think aliens are gonna show up on Earth to see what's going on here. Like I think
Do you think they visited Earth?
No. I do think there's a chance that like they've observed Earth and just not thought that it's worth it.
Why?
I don't know, just like what's here that they would want.
Fucking
iPhones. Why did we both make that joke? But what I was about to say was, with that being said, like, I don't know the timeline for aliens. They could literally show up right now. Like, it's just like, who knows? But I just like, I don't see a scenario where aliens show up and we like have contact and we're like, whoa. Because I feel like if aliens are able to visit us, they've probably been able to visit other places for a while. So like, why would they like make a big deal about coming here? I just don't think they'd care. Anyway, next question.
Is this better than Star Wars?
No. Like better than the first Star Wars?
Yeah.
No. I'm still going to say no. Yeah, no.
I read a couple reviews and they talked a lot about heavy-handed religious allegories. Did you get that? I think people are like saying there's the 10 Commandments. They're watching the 10 Commandments at the start. Mm. And then he climbs a mountain to like, I guess, see his God or whatever, like Moses.
Okay.
So I think that's what people are picking up on, but I didn't think it was like heavy-handed.
No, I didn't think it was heavy.
I'm also not a Bible thumper, so.
I mean, I didn't really like connect that parallel at all. Yeah, I guess it makes sense now that you say it, but it's not like I was watching and was like, "Wow, this is like they're really pushing this."
Like the Matrix?
Yeah.
I think there's an argument that Roy is having a dream at the end because of the sleeping gas. Thoughts?
He wasn't really near the sleeping gas, though. I don't like that theory.
Yeah. I mean, like, I wonder about
theory,
like how potent it is, how like effective it is. Because I think there's like, I don't like this theory and I don't think it's true.
Yeah.
But I think there's like, you can figure in your mind like, maybe he's just having a dream, right? Because like this is insane.
Yeah.
But he's not asleep for the rest of the movie. So like, why would all of a sudden that not be real if you've seen all the other stuff?
Yeah.
Right? Thoughts on the visual effects? They're a little dated, but I thought some were like really cool.
There were some that looked really good.
I think the clouds were really good.
The clouds were really good.
Which
I
they
think
did.
The ship at the end was really good.
Yeah.
But I think like the little, I don't know if they were little ships or if they were just like.
The scale is off on some of them.
Yeah. And I think like because obviously the actors were kind of just looking at nothing. I think a lot of the time the actors are not looking anywhere close to where the ships actually appear.
Yeah.
Like when the big ship flies over Roy and Jillian.
Yeah.
Like Roy is looking at the ship the whole time, I'm pretty sure. But Jillian is like not at all. And I'm just like, so like, I think for the most part, the visual effects are good. Some of them are a little bit dated. Like there's some where the ships are like flying overhead where I'm like, whoa. But I think most of the datedness comes from like
the CGI
the actors
kind
not
of
really
stuff.
having something to like
interesting.
interact with.
I guess it's not CGI. Yeah, I think some of the ships are just like, I think they cover it up with a lot of like bright light, so you don't really see it, so you're just kind of following a light.
I will say I do like that there's like a bunch of different designs of ship.
There's a little red one.
Yeah, there's a little red one. There's one with like little fins. But like at the same time, especially maybe it's just because we watched Space Jam recently, but like they all look like little Looney Tunes ships.
Yeah.
Which I think is why the light helps a little bit. And it makes it a little bit more mysterious because it's like, what is that big light flying by?
They did the clouds by having a tank of water that was half salt, half fresh. And then they shot paint into the water. So it would go through the fresh water and then stop at the salt. So that's why it has that like plateau, when the clouds are like rumbling and it's just flat.
And it looks like it's hitting a floor, but there's nothing there. Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
The other stuff's just kind of like miniatures and things like that.
Yeah.
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver. I think he'd actually be a great Roy.
I do too.
I think he'd be an excellent Roy.
I think Roy, I think there's an argument for him to be Lacombe.
He could be an okay.
He loves doing accents.
He does love doing accents.
And maybe we get him in some baby makeup, get him playing Barry.
Get him playing. No, I want Bill Hader in that role.
That's true. The real Barry.
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly feel like Adam Driver as Roy would be a great pick.
Yeah.
And that's the pick that I'm picking.
And that's the pick you've picked.
That's the pick I picked.
That's the pick you've picked.
All right,
That's
time
the
for the
pick
tough
you've
part of
picked.
the movie, or part of the podcast. I've been saying
That's
a
the
lot
pick
of
you
the
pick.
wrong word in the
Picky,
wrong
pick.
spot this
We've
whole
recorded
podcast.
5 this weekend in 2 days.
Yeah, we've
so.
recorded. Yeah, we should. So Calder came over Friday
Night.
We recorded no episodes that day.
Because I got here at 8.
Yeah, PM. And then I
We
don't know
did-
why I felt the need to say PM. But then Saturday we recorded 3, and then today's Sunday we recorded 2
And watched one of the movies.
and watched one of the movies. Anyway, it's just been a very long weekend. Sorry if we sound tired at the end here. Excuse me.
What are we thinking for rank? So Adam Driver is Roy.
Are you
now into
are you
rank.
pitching it as number 1?
I think we could have a conversation about it being number 1, but as I was watching it, I was like, I don't know if it gets there.
Because I'll be honest, there was never a point, because I wasn't even comparing it to Booksmart necessarily.
But just
But
on
there
the
was
list.
never a point where I was like, I think I'm putting this number 1.
Yeah. And I might have changed it later on, but I didn't want to like put one down and then like
Watch it
whatever.
and be like, this isn't good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I like
that's
put
why-
it down from memory. I saw it like 2 years ago the first time, and I was like,
Okay.
I remember this being good. It's got some sci-fi stuff. I think Adam might like it,
Mhm.
and it's got that emotional family story.
Do you want me to pitch where I want to put it?
Yes.
I was going to put it at
Where's he gonna put
above
it?
Shiva
Where's
Baby.
he gonna put? That's
that would be
below
the
Harry?
new 6.
Is that below Harry?
Yeah. Now that's my starting number.
Mm-hmm.
So if you'd like to put it at like 2 or 3, I'd be willing to compromise, put it at 4 or 5. But we're here to talk. Where would you put it? Seeing Waves, I'm assuming you're putting it in like the top 8.
Yeah, I think so.
So like looking at Waves, Booksmart, Big Lebowski, Black Klansman, Philosopher's Stone, Shiva Baby, Silence, Marriage Story, where would you put it? Not thinking about where I put it, where would you put it?
Maybe above Harry.
Above Harry?
Yeah, but I think like in that area is where it goes.
Okay. Well, then my instinct is like I just said right below Harry. You said right above Harry.
Yeah.
Um,
How do you feel about that? I know we've kind of, taken Harry out back and shot it in the head 3 times. He's crying. He's weeping. And he's taking his pants off.
I'm not. I literally
Underwear
haven't moved
too?
a muscle as you've been saying this.
Oh, his shirt's off.
I haven't been moving.
He's trying to shove a pencil in
trying
his
to think,
belly.
like-
Bud, you're going to unravel your skin. Don't shove the pencil in your belly button, man.
I'm
Oh
just
my-
trying to think of like I'm thinking of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and I'm like, yeah. I like Philosopher's Stone better, but like, wait, so like you wouldn't put this above Black Klansman? You wouldn't put the Close Encounters above Black Klansman?
I don't think so. I think it's got some really good stuff, and I think the best thing that it has going for it is how... I don't think transgressive. What's the word that Ryan Johnson was using where it's like you got to break expectations or whatever? I forget what it is. I'm kind of fucking stupid.
Oh fuck! What? I know exactly.
Yeah. I need
Subvert
to be
expectations.
Yeah. And I like that it has the thing where it subverts expectations in terms of what kind of story this is going to be when
Yeah.
there's aliens involved. And I think that's a really strong part of this movie.
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of great performances, even if the characters aren't perfect.
Can I throw one little thing out there?
Yeah, this doesn't have Quidditch.
Yeah. If it ain't got a golden snitch in it, I don't want it.
It's got a golden snatch, though.
A golden snatch?
Yeah.
Elaborate.
There's some pretty ladies, blonde ladies.
Goodness me.
You could cut that out.
Okay. My issue is, this isn't necessarily a criticism of the movie itself, because I don't think it makes the movie worse, but it's just true about the movie.
Okay.
Is that I do think it is one that is best on a first viewing. And this is something that I also think is true about Waves, but I think Waves also has, like, a lot to, like... I was debating, like, making the same argument when we were arguing Booksmart.
You haven't seen this one twice, though.
That's the thing. But, like, most of at least my enjoyment out of the movie was, like, wondering what... like, just, like, what the aliens are, what they look like, what they're doing, like, what the spaceship is, whether they're nice or not, what they want. And, like, now I know that. So, like, watching it again, it would just be more like, I'd still enjoy it. Like, I'd find different enjoyment out of it. Like, I'd be able to put the pieces together knowing how it ends. But, like, no viewing after this first viewing, will be the same as the first viewing. You know what I mean?
You could say that about any movie.
Sure. Well, yeah, but I mean, like, this movie has something specific about it where, like, you not knowing how it ends is, like, most of what makes it good, whereas I think a lot of movies focus on other things, but, like, that's the main thing. It's not the only thing that makes it good.
I don't agree with that, but I see what you're saying.
I'm not saying it's the only thing that makes it good.
I didn't say that. I don't agree with what you're saying, but
okay, that's
I know
fine.
what you're saying.
But, like, for me, it was, like, not knowing what's coming was the best part. So, like, I know what's coming now. So, like, I don't think it would be a worse movie the second time. I'd just get something different from it.
Sure.
Whereas, like, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, I watch 500 billion times and get about the same enjoyment out of it.
Interesting argument. I think there's less to pick up on multiple viewings in Harry Potter than there is in this movie.
Maybe. I mean, you get some looks from Quirrell and some looks from Snape, and you kind of
you can look at the people in the background.
Well, no, there's a mystery there as well, because you're trying to figure out.
But you've seen it, so you know what happens.
Yeah, but, like, I'm saying, like, both of these movies have that. Harry Potter, that's, like, less, like, it's less of a main aspect of the enjoyment of the film that you don't know.
Okay.
This movie, I feel like not knowing is, like, one of the main things about the film that is enjoyable. So, like, I don't even know what my argument is. I guess to put it below Philosopher's Stone at 6.
Sure. I'm okay with that.
Are you?
Yeah, I don't know if I needed what you were. I kind of don't really know what you were saying.
Okay.
But, like, I'm okay with that position. I think it's really good.
Okay.
I would personally put it above Harry Potter, but I'm okay with it being just below.
Okay. Then I'm down for that. Because, like, I thought you were going to put it way higher, and we were going to have to...
No. When I was watching it, I was like, I really like this movie. I think it's good. Unless Adam really likes it, I don't think I can really make an argument for it being number one. Just because I think we both like the other movies pretty much more.
Yeah. Like, my thing is, like, putting Close Encounters above Shiva Baby, Silence, Marriage Story, West Side Story. Like, that kind of makes sense to me. Like, Close Encounters is very, like, grand, but it's also very, like...
Intimate
and personal, because you're just following this guy who is kind of losing his mind a little bit.
It mixes a family story with a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, whereas, like, I don't know. I think the movies above Close Encounters kind of just do a little bit more to, like, keep me coming back, I guess.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't have to really give a reason.
It's already in there.
It's already in there. I think that like having Close Encounters above Harry Potter would also, at least for me in the future, give me a bit of difficulty when ranking other movies. Similar to how
So you're scared.
No. I just mean like when we talked about Kimmy, like Kimmy being where it was before we did our reshuffle kind of like messed with us when ranking things once in a while. I just feel like having Close Encounters above Harry Potter might do the same to me.
We'll see.
Down the line.
I think you're scared. This has been another episode of Screen Share, a movie podcast with Adam Cook and Calder, Amos Wood. Thanks for listening to our Close Encounters episode. Our next month is actually a month for a boy.
It's going to be June, and it's going to be my birthday month, baby.
He's going to fill our ears with his nonsense.
I actually
fill our minds
don't know
with his
what movies
nonsense.
we're going to do that month yet. I've got a few ideas, a few picks. So I'm not going to say what next week's going to be because I don't really have one set in stone.
Should we say it and then maybe you edit it if you pick this one?
Sure.
A few moments later.
So you're going to cut this entire conversation we're having out because you might switch all your movies.
I might switch every single one of those movies, but those are just some idea. You know what? If you want to watch those just for funsies.
Ugh.
Anyway, next month's my
Let's do a fresh outro.
Okay, here's a fresh outro.
And that's been this episode of Screen Share with Adam and Calder. Next month is Adam's month. Maybe he'll insert what he's doing next week when he's editing this and like whenever before that one comes out. Once he's decided, he hasn't picked
Movie
yet. That's
title.
fine. It'll probably be like some sort of disgusting porno. He's kind of a freak.
It won't necessarily be this, but it'll probably be something kind of along the lines of like Isle of Dogs, Phantom Menace, you know, like Lego Movie Adventures of Tintin. Not those movies specifically, but like maybe something along
Or
those
like,
lines.
I found my stepsister stuck in the laundry machine.
Help!
Yep, there, you're my stepsister. We're done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next week I am doing Spirited Away. So, in case you want to watch it.